I've transferred the handle from this side, which is the inner side, to the outer side, because it was almost impossible to reach when you looked at the distance between the body here and the console in the middle. I couldn't get my hand down to lift the handle, so we've transferred that across. No big deal. Bit of jiggery pokery down there. Coming upwards, I found the correct holes. Well, when I say the correct holes, I found a set of holes in either side here, which straightened the carriage to seat base distance it was kicking out. The gap there still isn't the same either side, but it's close enough. We can live with that. Moving up, I've moved the back, this back piece, so that it's now at 75 degrees of rake instead of 65, but it has produced this wedge down here. It's about 30mm out from this bodywork here, so it's about 30mm difference, but it is more comfortable at 75, not 65. The other thing that's a little bit annoying is that if you look across here, that's level, come up to here, and this area here is down quite a bit on this side. You can see it here. So there, that gives a better impression. There we go, level. So it's sloping down that way, which makes it a little bit difficult up in this area. And you can see the difference with the height of these above there. Okay, now moving to the armrest gear. Right, down in here you have a ferrule in here, which I think is about 20mm, something like that. Then the bolt on the outside, retaining this plate. Now, by having that ferrule there, it means that there is no gap, or very little gap, at this side. Same applies to that side, to there. Now, if we measure around here and measure the seat at this area across here, we find that it is around about 440, 445 maybe. Right, now measuring across here, that's it. That's where the 445 comes to. And as you can see, if we put it equidistant, it means that that arm is definitely going to rub the seat. Now, I have a sneaking suspicion, and this is what I've done, but remove this ferrule from the inside. The bolt then nips up hard against the end of the shaft, and that distance of the ferrule added to here, and I'll do a video in a minute, will give us an extra width of this, or a gap in here, which allows the seat to come out further. Right, this is the state of play when that is full down and we bring it up. Let's do this. There, the arm is solid at the top, locked into the pin, and we move it downwards till it touches there. Whoops, you can see it move, and the armrest hasn't moved, but it moves that far. So the armrest moves that far. So we've got all that play. Same on this side. If you notice the pin to the stop and then the armrest moves that far down, moves that far. This will give you an idea of the movement in that pin and the movement it gives to the end of the arm. So there's a fair amount of play added just there. If we take this bolt out of here, looking at that, the pin should be in the center of that arc, and the flat should be pointing towards the end, this end, the back end of that arc, and the bolt and washer should nip up against the end of that shaft. It shouldn't need any packing at this end. So once that's bolted up at this end, and we look at the other end, and we shall take the arm off. Okay, now that is the state of the the flat with the pin internally there at the center. So if the arm comes down to there, now the pin is now at this end, and the flat on this needs to be horizontal, which is there, not there. That's where it is at the moment. That's where it needs to be. So I think that is about 15 degrees. It's all in the drawings. Now, once it's taken up onto the bolt there, it will actually push this out by the amount of that ferrule. The 20 mil or whatever it was on the inside will now be there. So we can pack that out with the ferrule or with something similar to that. If that sort of thing going on the end. I've got a heap of this which we can make some spacers out of to go on there, and then the arm slots onto that, and it will then give this clearance away from where the seat happens in front of it. Now I hope that explains all those sort of details. The geometry of that I've put in that drawing with the angles and so on. So I'll make up these new shafts, and whatever I add to the shaft here to bring it out, including the ferrule distance, but I think probably just the ferrule distance might give it to us. I'll measure those and check that out. But anyway, that's the state of play. Or we had that at the end of its travel was horizontal. Now we had adjustment from that point backwards because of this, but never that way. So by putting that in the center, you can now adjust it either up from the horizontal, either down or up a certain distance. So that's the modification there. All in all, apart from the rails, which we've discussed at length, the other bit that might be of interest is that little bit that I've added at the bottom here. So if we look at that, that now forms a fairly decent sort of well, it gives it less clearance, so this doesn't move up and down. It stays in the right place. So that's a block of, well, I don't know what it is, acetal or something, which I've machined out and put up into there. So we'll do some drawings of that later. What else? That is about it. You can see what that tightness has done to the upholstery in that spot. That was when I first put it down, the first downward movement, because it was rubbing on the what do you call it, MDF of the backboard. There we go. Those holes aren't very pretty. And of course these holes were out of alignment on the back of the seat back, which show up there, and you can see that those are quite a bit out of alignment. The black dot is where the original hole should be, well, close to it anyway. Headrests would be nice. I think that's about it.